What if we get to the end of this course and we don't feel any more concentrated? We're still getting distracted all the time. What's the move?
Keep practicing. My observation in all these years of teaching is that people are mostly unfair to themselves. You know, you may be coming back much more quickly. You may be coming back much more gracefully. You may have a better sense of humor about all those distractions, but it's not enough. You know, because we don't tend to look at those things and appreciate them. It's more like, I still got distracted, or it was that same stupid stuff that drew me away, or I started out, I can only be with about 3 breaths before my mind started to wander. And now I can still only be with 3 breaths, so it's been a wasted month. But I had a teacher named Sayadaw U Pandita, who's a Burmese monk, and he had a kind of trick question he used to ask people. Sometime in the course of like a retreat, he'd say, how many breaths can you be with before your mind starts to wander? And the reason it's a trick question is because they believe it takes a good degree of awareness to notice how much your mind is wandering. So a good answer is like 2 breaths or 3 breaths. Whereas if you said, I can be with the breath for 45 minutes and my mind never wanders, they think you are so lost in space that you're just gone.
So is it possible that we, especially as we're just getting into the practice, we're a couple weeks, couple months in, we may feel more distracted, but in fact, we're less distracted, we're just seeing more clearly?
I think that's absolutely right. He'd ask someone that question, like about how many breaths can you be with before your mind starts to wander? And they'd say, I can be with the breath for 45 minutes and my mind never wanders. And I used to sit there and think, don't say that. You think that's such a good answer? That's not such a good answer. It's helpful, it's actually very important to see the degree of our own distraction.
And we get better at seeing it the more we practice. And it may be confusing at first, but there's a way in which actually this feeling of chaos may be a sign of progress.
It is a sign of progress. I can assure you.
Well, if having a chaotic mind means I'm making progress, I am like awesome.
That's great.
I'm killing this thing. How do we measure success in this area when it comes to concentration?
That's difficult in a way. I mean, most people would like to measure success by saying, well, I started out only being able to be aware of 3 breaths before my mind wandered. Now it's 35. And to some degree, you know, that's probably a metric that could be used. I would rather talk about that moment of coming back. Because in fact, that's what we need, is to be able to let go more gracefully and come back more easily.
So it's the way to evaluate success is to notice, is that moment of waking up more easeful? Mm-hmm. Like, is there less turmoil right there?
Yeah. Yeah, because the consequence of that will be that even though our attention wanders, we won't be gone as long. And it's not like a wrenching experience.
Right.
To come back.
I mean, talk about boosting resilience, but you can get lost an infinite number of times if it becomes like not a big deal.
That's right.
So you really think this kind of deceptively simple act of watching your breath, feeling your breath, can make us more resilient in the rest of our lives?
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. Because, you know, when I first started and I thought, okay, it's like stupid, you know, what a stupid thing to do. What can it possibly do? And how hard can it be? Which was quickly proven incorrect. It was not that easy. For almost everybody, maybe everybody really, the practice of trying to concentrate will involve a lot of letting go and beginning again, and letting go and beginning again, and letting go and beginning again. And that's really the muscle that's being trained. And that's, I think, at the heart of resilience, is not kind of going down the hole, you know, of oh, I've been gone, I'm like the worst person in the world, I've lost touch with my aspiration, I've lost sight of my vision, whatever it is, you know, now I have to berate myself for 1.5 years. It's actually being able to let go and start over that makes for greater success, and that's all based on resilience. Success in meditation really is based not so much on what's happening to us, but how we relate to what's happening to us. And this is difficult for us, I think, just given the conditioning most of us have, we'd be reassured if we could say, well, I'm making tremendous progress because I can only be with 3 breaths a week ago, and now I could be with 18 before my mind wanders. But the idea that the goal is to let go more and more gracefully, to have more compassion for yourself as you need to start again. These things are harder to measure, and they don't give us the same kind of boasting rights necessarily. It can be difficult for us, but it is actually the truth that what happens is not nearly as important as how we relate to what happens, because that's where our freedom lies. You can't ultimately say, I'll never have a nasty thought again, or I'm never going to have a disagreeable sensation again. We build up the skills so that we can be with anything. We can be with the joyous, delightful, wonderful times and the really difficult and painful times in a very fresh and different way. Let's begin the meditation. To start, you can sit comfortably. You want to have some energy in your body. You also want to be relaxed and at ease. Feel your way into what seems like a balanced posture for you. You can close your eyes or not, however you feel most comfortable. If your eyes are open, they could be slightly open. Find a spot to rest your gaze. Let it go. Take a few deep breaths. Relax your body and intentionally set aside what you were just doing and whatever might be coming ahead. Then allow the breath to become natural. See if you can notice where you feel the breath most predominantly. You might feel the sensations of the breath as it passes through the nostrils, or the rising and falling of the chest or the abdomen. One isn't better than the other. See which is strongest for you. And when you find that place, bring your attention there and just rest. if you've fallen asleep, or something arises that's strong enough to take your attention away from the feeling of the breath, whether it's sensations or emotions, memories, fantasies, plans, whatever it might be, notice how you speak to yourself as you prepare to let go and begin again. If it's in a harsh, judgmental voice, see if you can soften it. It's actually with kindness toward ourselves, rather than condemning ourselves, that we make the most progress. It doesn't matter how many times your attention wanders or how long you may dwell in distraction. It also doesn't matter where your attention has wandered to. Our goal is to let go gently, with growing kindness toward ourselves, and to begin again. And when you feel ready, you can open your eyes and reconnect with what's happening around you. It is interesting to see how different our minds can be from day to day, and it doesn't take a whole day, from within a few minutes in a sitting, because you're more aware in the sitting. You may see just a huge range of feeling and emotion and perception. And what's interesting is to have enough spaciousness from it so that you can see all these things coming and going without either being defined by them, like I'm such an angry person and I always will be, or really fighting against them. Like, I can't believe I'm meditating all this time and there's still anger coming up in me. And so everything is about that kind of relationship. We're building a new relationship to everything. That brings us to the end of this course. I hope you enjoyed taking some time exploring objects like the breath, and I hope you continue your exploration.